After Jesus died, 7 terrifying things happened instantly. These events fulfilled ancient prophecies written hundreds of years earlier. The ground shook, just as David had foretold. Tombs opened, just as Daniel had described. Darkness covered the land, exactly as Amos had warned. Every sign matched Scripture perfectly, leaving people trembling in fear. But the prophets had also spoken of stranger things still to come. The temple curtain ripping in two, fishing nets breaking under impossible catches, and hundreds of people seeing the one who was supposed to remain in the grave. It all began at the exact moment Jesus took his final breath on the cross. From that moment, strange and frightening things unfolded. The ground beneath people's feet shook like a living creature in distress. Men and women stumbled, clinging to walls for balance. The earth groaned with cracks that sounded like thunder rolling across the land. But this thunder came from below, not above. This was no ordinary earthquake. Massive rocks split down the middle, as though cut by an unseen sword. Hardened Roman guards, men who had faced battles without fear, now grabbed pillars and walls to keep from falling. The earth shook so violently that even the strongest buildings swayed like reeds in the wind. Inside the temple, something even more shocking took place. The sacred curtain that separated people from the most holy place began to tear from the top all the way to the bottom. No human hand could reach that height. The curtain was 60 feet tall and as thick as a man's hand, woven to last for centuries. Yet it ripped like paper in the wind. The sound of fabric tearing echoed through the temple as priests froze in horror. For generations, this curtain had kept people away from God's presence. Only the high priest could pass through it, and only once a year. Yet now it was gone. The prophets had said the Messiah's death would shake the earth itself. What looked like destruction was, in fact, the greatest victory. The torn curtain meant ordinary people could come to God directly. No more waiting. No more walls. No more separation. The earthquake wasn't just the ground moving. It was heaven's announcement that the barrier between God and humanity was gone forever. Before we continue to the next terrifying sign, pause for a moment. Right? I am listening in the comments below if you're ready for what comes next. Doing this helps you stay engaged and remember the story more deeply. Because while the earth shook above, Jesus was already descending into a place no living person had ever escaped. When Jesus gave up his spirit on the cross, he didn't go to heaven immediately. Instead, he descended into the realm of the dead. This shadowy place had held every soul since the beginning of time. Adam and Eve were there. Noah was there. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob waited in silence. For centuries, the faithful dead wondered if God had forgotten them. The underworld was a prison with gates that no one could break. Then everything changed. Light burst into that darkness like lightning in a cave. A figure glowing with glory walked toward them. The ancient dead recognized him instantly. This was the Messiah they had longed for. But unlike them, he could not be held by death. The gates that had never opened shattered apart like paper doors. Locks snapped, chains broke, and the prison of death collapsed. Abraham stood in awe. Moses rose to his feet. David lifted his head in triumph. Every faithful soul knew their waiting was over. Death itself had been broken from within. Meanwhile, above ground, Jesus' body still lay wrapped in burial cloths, sealed in a tomb. Roman soldiers guarded the entrance, trained warriors who feared no enemy. The stone sealing the tomb weighed 2 tons, marked with Rome's official seal. Their orders were clear: guard the body, prevent any theft, stop rumors of resurrection. But suddenly, the ground shook again, this time different. The air crackled with power like lightning about to strike. A mighty angel appeared, blazing with light brighter than the sun. His face flashed like lightning. His robes shone white as snow. These hardened soldiers, who had faced armies without fear, dropped their weapons in terror. Their knees buckled as they collapsed like dead men. The angel stepped to the stone and rolled it aside effortlessly. The stone had never been holding Jesus in, it was only keeping others out until the right moment. The soldiers realized the truth. They were no longer guarding a dead man's tomb. They were staring at an empty grave. Even the most secure prison in Jerusalem could not hold the one who had conquered death. The soldiers, trained for war, lay helpless on the ground. Their armor, their weapons, their courage, useless before God's power. The sealed tomb was empty. But while the soldiers trembled, Jesus' closest followers hid in fear. The disciples huddled together in a locked room, terrified they would be arrested next. They barred the doors and sealed the windows. Their room felt like a fortress, but also like a prison. Peter hung his head in shame, remembering how he denied Jesus 3 times. The others sat in silence, haunted by fear and confusion. Then, without warning, Jesus appeared in the room. He didn't open the door. He didn't break through walls. One moment he wasn't there, the next he stood among them. The disciples recoiled in shock, certain they were seeing a ghost. Jesus calmed them with his voice. "Peace be with you." They stared at him, speechless. He showed them the wounds in his hands and side. "Touch me and see," he said. "A ghost does not have flesh and bones, as you see I have." The same body that had died now stood alive. Yet it was different. No walls, no locks, no barriers could stop him. Nothing in creation could limit him anymore. But this was not the end. Jesus had even more to show them. Days later, the disciples returned to the Sea of Galilee to fish. All night they worked, casting their nets, catching nothing. Exhausted and empty-handed, they were ready to quit. Then a man on the shore called out, "Friends, have you caught anything?" When they answered no, he told them, "Cast your net on the right side of the boat." They obeyed, and instantly their nets filled so full of fish they nearly broke. John's eyes widened. "It is the Lord," he cried. Peter jumped into the water and swam to shore. There Jesus waited with bread and fish cooking over a fire. Word of his appearances spread quickly. Farmers, mothers, elders, and children flocked to see him. On one hillside, over 500 people gathered. They were not wealthy leaders, but ordinary men and women. Together they became witnesses to the impossible. Jesus alive before their very eyes. Some fell to their knees, others stood frozen, some wept openly. This wasn't illusion. They had seen him die. Now they saw him alive. Over 500 witnesses proved that death had been defeated. But one man still refused to believe. Saul of Tarsus, armed with letters to arrest Christians, rode toward Damascus. He was the church's greatest enemy, feared by every believer. Then suddenly, a blinding light from heaven knocked him to the ground. A voice called, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" Shaken, Saul asked, "Who are you, Lord?" The answer came, "I am Jesus, the one you are persecuting." Blinded for 3 days, Saul emerged a changed man. The fiercest enemy of the church became its greatest messenger. These 7 terrifying events proved Jesus had power not only over life, but over death itself. Before he died, Jesus gave a message so radical that it still changes lives today. Want to hear the words that turned fishermen into world changers? Click now to discover the teachings that transformed history.